We'll start with the prayers. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahaihi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We're doing Panchadasi, chapter 5. This chapter is titled Mahavakya Viveka Prakaranam, consisting of 8 verses, dealing with the essence of Upanishadic study, which is the Mahavakyam. 2 verses are devoted for each Mahavakyam from 4 Upanishads. The ultimate story of Upanishad ends with this Mahavakya. It says that I am not a samsari jiva identified with this body-mind complex. This is a misconception in all human beings. The correct way to look at the world is I am Chaitanya Swarupam, Satchidananda Swarupam. What is Satchidananda is described in Taittiriya Upanishad. I am Brahma Swarupam. That is what is the essence of the teaching. So in order to convey this essence, a Mahavakyam is used. A Mahavakyam is a very important sentence in an Upanishad. And it says that the Jiva who thinks that he is born, actually speaking, he is not born. Birth and death are only misconceptions of a human being. How it is a misconception is the job of the Upanishad. Upanishad is a pramanam. It reveals to me, like the eyes are revealing the color of the rose. Upanishad, if I use the Upanishad as an instrument for knowledge, and I have a full faith in that instrument, then the Upanishad will definitely inform me that I am of the nature of Chaitanya. What is this Chaitanya? How do I see this nature of mine? Is a step-by-step process. Deals with Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasana. All the 3 are extremely important steps. What this chapter is finally telling me is, what is the ultimate goal of spiritual study? If you know the goal, then you will put enough resources behind reaching the goal. Therefore, it is important that we understand this chapter very thoroughly as possible. I have finished 2 verses dealing with the first Mahavakyam, Prajnanam Brahma. We have finished that. Now we have going to the 3rd and the 4th, which deals with Aham Brahmasmi, which occurs in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Prajnanam Brahma was a Mahavakyam from Aitareya Upanishad. Now we are in the 3rd verse. 3rd and 4th verse deals with Aham Brahmasmi. So there are 14 slides from 72 to 85. So we are seeing the 72nd slide. I will start with the verse. I did start last week, but anyway, let me play this verse again.
Paripurna paratmasmin Paripurna paratmasmin dehe vidhyadhikarini dehe vidhyadhikarini buddhe sakshitaya stitva buddhe sakshitaya stitva spurannahamitīryate spurannahamitīryate.
So this verse is telling me that I am the Sakshi, the Supreme Self, which is the inner essence behind the body-mind complex and the universe. That Supreme Self is none other than Sakshi, the witness of this body, the sense organs, the mind, and the pranas. If you are studying the Keno Upanishad with me on Saturdays, you will see how Keno Upanishad is also a Mahavakyam. 5 verses are Mahavakyam from the 4th verse to the 8th verse in Keno Upanishad. And what is the lesson there we learned? The lesson is, I am the experiencer, the consciousness principle, which is the witness, which is the experiencer of this body itself, the sense organs, the prana, and the mind. Same messages here. Swami Vidyaranya in this verse says that this body, when it manifests in the waking state, it manifests the Sakshi. Because without the Sakshi, this world cannot exist. The power behind this world is Sakshi or Brahman. And how does this Sakshi express itself in this body? It expresses as Aham, I. So that is this verse. We'll see the background, how this is said. Vrihadaneka Upanishad, the first chapter, the 4th section, 4th pramanam, 9th verse. The 9th and the 10th verse are Mahavakya section, Mahavakya portion. The 9th verse says, this is what we are going to meditate on today. This 9th and the 10th verse we are going to meditate on in our meditation session. So here, what is that knowledge by which that entity which was there before creation, how did it become all this creation? That is the question. And the answer to that question is, the only way it could have become the entire creation is if it knew that the whole creation is nothing but itself. Suppose I am in a dream, I am in the waking state, and I want to ask this question: how do I know that I am the one who has projected the dream world? Only when I know I am the whole projector, sustainer, resolver of the dream world, I will know this, that I am the sustainer, projector, and resolver of the dream world. Now, the same thing you apply to Brahman or Atma. A jnani, when he understands that he is Brahman, what will he realize as? As Brahman, what will he realize? I am the entire waker the waking world, and all experiences in the waking state. I am that Brahman which is free now from the world, but it is the creator, sustainer, and projector of the waking world. That is the message of this Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Yajurveda is of two types, is of two categories. One is called as Krishna Yajurveda, another is called as Shukla Yajurveda. What is Krishna Yajurveda? Krishna Yajurveda, the Upanishad which is very famous, is Taittiriya Upanishad. See, these are all different schools under the Veda itself. There is another school called as Shukla Yajurveda, which is Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. So we are dealing with Shukla Yajurveda, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, where Aham Brahmasmi is the Mahavakya. In Taittiriya Upanishad, satyam jnanam anantam is a Mahavakya. It gives the nature of Brahman. And what is that verse which talks about this nature of Brahman? Om Brahma vidapnoti param tadesham yukta satyam jnanam anantam brahma yo veda nihitam guhayam parame vyoman soshnute sarvan kaman saha brahmana vipaschiteti. So what is this? What is the nature of this Brahman? What is the nature of this higher entity called as Brahman? It is satyam. Satyam means it is existing in past, present, and in future. Jnanam means it is of the nature of consciousness. Anantam means it is not bound by time or space. That is the Swarupa Lakshanam of Brahman. So if I want to know that Aham Brahmasmi, I am of the nature of Brahman, then I have to meditate on I am Satyam, I am Jnanam, I am Anantam. This I is not the body. It is the consciousness principle, which is the seer of the body. It is the it is the existence principle, which is lending existence to this body in the waking state. And it is the resolver of this body and the world in the sleep state. This is how we have to rise in our knowledge. From a samsari jiva, I have to become a jnani. Jnani means one who knows the Veda correctly. Not that you have just heard one or two talks on Veda. No, 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 no. Here in my talks, this is a systematic study of the essence of the Vedas. When you study like this, it will transform you to a totally different person. There is one reality. That reality can be known with medium, which is called as sopadika, and the same reality can be known without the medium, which is called as nirupadika jiva. So all of us know we are all jiva, we are living beings. But what we don't know is there is another aspect of mind, which is nirupadi, which is without the medium of the body, which we all experience in the sleep state. The Vedanta is not changing any experience for us. Vedanta is only telling me that my conclusion of my experience is wrong. I am having waking state, dream state, sleep state. And there is a state beyond these three states. I do not know of that fourth state, which is beyond the three states, which is nirupadika jiva. I am familiar with the three states, waking, dream, sleep. I am not familiar with the nirupadika jiva status. Veda is the pramanam which wakes me up from the waking world to that nirupadika status, which is the pure self. Please understand this point. This is a very basic understanding of Mahavakya. If you miss this point, you would not understand Mahavakya. Reality is called as Brahman. It is the higher self. It is expressing in the form of the Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara with media of the body and the world. The same reality, Brahman, exists in another form. That form is revealed only by the Veda. Only when we study the Mahavakyam, we will get this equation of nirupadika jiva. It's a very simple process. What the Veda says is, in your cognition, remove the body, remove the world, retain the pure self as your real self. All our intellects, each one of us can understand this clearly. In our own mind, there is no change in any experience. You don't have to go to Nirvikalpa Samadhi to realize I am Brahman. While in the class itself, listening to these talks correctly, you will understand your nature. That is the objective of the study of Veda. While the teacher is discussing in the class, the student's mind is already awake to that knowledge, to that status. With Brahma Vidya, one becomes everything. Now you understand how one becomes everything, because there is something which is in which everything gets resolved. The whole universe gets resolved in the unmanifest form, in the Maya state, which is the state of Sushupti, sleep, avidya. A rosebud has a potential to become a flower. A human being has an inherent potential to walk, speak, and to know this Brahman, and to become everything in this creation. All of us has to learn the methodology, how my intellect can transform itself to understand the higher reality. Mundaka Upanishad, Shaunaka asks his teacher Angiras, what is that by which I can know everything in creation? It's a very similar question in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. It says, by knowing what can I know the whole creation? By knowing Brahman, I can know the whole creation. And what is the nature of Brahman? Angiras, the teacher in Mundaka Upanishad, says, the nature of Brahman is Aksharam. There is nothing in this universe which is Aksharam except Brahman. Akshara means what? Imperishable, in 3 periods of time. Past, present, and future, Aksharam. Na sharati, iti bhavaha. What did Brahman know because of which he became everything? How did Brahman perceive himself or itself? The Brahman, or that entity, reality, knew itself as abhinna nimitta upadana karan. This is a technical term. It means it is abhinna nimitta. It is changeless, intelligent cause, and it is material cause for this entire universe. Normally, material cause keeps on changing. Gold can become a ring, then it can become bangle, it can become a necklace, it can become so many things. Because the material is changing form. As the form changes, we give it a name. But in this world, there is something changeless, which is called as Brahman, which is called as consciousness. That consciousness is the core of my personality. This is the inherent knowledge which I have to understand. And when I understand correctly the Upanishadic Vakyam, then my vision of this world changes. Normally, we think I was born into a family, I was a child, all that is true. But it is only true from the Vyavaharika angle. Not true from Paramarthika. Paramarthika means higher nature. There is another nature. While experiencing this itself, there is another nature of mind, which is called as Sakshi, which is called as Brahman, which doesn't do anything. But in the presence of that, the whole waking state comes, the whole waking state resolves in the sleep state. Pariksha lokan, karmachitan, brahmano nirvedam. What did a student of Mundaka Upanishad do? He examined his experiences. This is what Mundaka Upanishad says. All of us, when we come to realize that there is birth, we all enjoy that. But birth is also accompanied with death. Either now or later, after 20 years, 50 years, 100 years, it doesn't make a difference. Death is death. So when a seeker, when a person who is in the Grahastha ashrama comes to realize that there is a change in this universe of the body, then the question comes to the mind of an intelligent student, is this whole experience from birth to death, is this the only reality or is there anything else? That is where a seeker is born. A seeker is born when he realizes and sees in this world, there is birth, there is death. All of us are going through that. All of us. Every Jiva. But this question should disturb us correctly so that we come to the Veda to ask this question to our Guru and says, come on, now teach me what is that which doesn't change. Taittiriya Upanishad asks this, it says, in the beginning, asatva idam agre asid. Tato vai sadajayata. What does it mean? In the beginning, there was something called as Brahman. Existence, non-existence. Appearance, non-appearance. Manifestation, non-manifestation is a process, continuous process, which is called as nature, which is called as Prakriti or Maya. But beyond this nature, there is something called as consciousness. Brahmava idam agre asid. Before these names and forms were manifest, there is a reality called as Brahman. So this idam, this world which I call it as this body, this mind, this world in front of me, all which is this is called as anatma. This anatma was a part of Atma. Atma means Brahman. That Atma is a sentient principle. Anatma is an inert principle. Only a sentient principle can know that he is unlimited by nature. Unlimited means he is timeless. How does he realize this? By knowing who am I in my deep sleep state. There is an entity which is existing, but it is not appearing. What is that reality? That reality is only appearing as this body. As soon as I wake up in the morning, there is a reality attached to this body. But the body doesn't by itself has that reality. It is borrowed from something else. That borrower, that lender of reality to this body and mind is called as Brahman. It is called as Atma. So this whole world which we are seeing through our eyes is in differentiated form as objects of the universe. It exists in undifferentiated form as Brahman, as the reality. And human beings have the capacity to rise to this knowledge, which is called as Brahma Vidya. Human intellect, when it is correctly trained by the Upanishads, the Upanishads reveal they are pramanam, they are the instrument of knowledge. They will say, the Upanishad says there is something which doesn't change. The changeless principle is my real nature, and that is called as awareness principle. So this Brahman is nothing but it is a witness of the intellect. All of us have an intellect. There is no doubt about it. You have emotions. You have thoughts. Every day you wake up, throughout the day you are experiencing some thoughts. There is an experiencer of the thoughts, and there is thought. There is emotion. Thought, emotion per se is jadam. It is inert. There is a knowing principle which is called as Sakshi. Vidya adhikarini dehe. Human body in the Bhuloka has this capacity. In no other lokas can you have this knowledge of Brahman, because the intellect can reach this level only in this loka. So are you using your body for pleasure, for gaining money, for enjoyment, for as a karta bhokta, or are you using this body to know who you are? Veda says if you are using this body to know your real nature, then your purpose of this birth is fulfilled. Even devatas who are in the Swargaloka, they want a human form because they can study the Upanishads and they can liberate themselves. You go to 13 lokas, but ultimately to get the karma phalam, you get a ticket to Bhuloka. We can get punyam and papam can be exhausted in the higher lokas. We can have greater enjoyments, better body, all that is possible in other lokas. And of course, in lower lokas, we get nothing. But it is only in this loka, that is what Vidyaranya says in this verse, in this body, Paripurna Paramatma is there, and I can realize that nature of consciousness. I, the Jivatma, realize this Paramatma, this consciousness principle, which is called as Paramatma in this body. And that Paramatma is aparichinnaha. Aparichinna means what? It is not affected by time. That is why I say in the sleep state, it is still there. In the sleep state, I have no concept of time. In that state, Paramatma is there. In that state, consciousness is there. And that happens to be my real nature. And it is paripurna. That means it can give me all the fulfillment in life. Knowing that Brahman gives me freedom from sukham and dukkham. Because sukham will ultimately give me dukkham. When the sukham goes away, it gives dukkham. Brahman is not limited by space, time, or objects. That is why it is called as akhandaha, advitiya, sarvatra, kevala, sarvatma bhava. All this is all words which only says that this pure consciousness, pure existence is akhanda, means homogeneous, where there is no bheda, there is no differentiation, no type of differentiation. In the waking state, we see a lot of differentiation. Every leaf of a tree is different. Every flower, every petal is different. But that is in the waking state. In our real state, everything is one. Ekam eva advitiyam brahma. That is the nature of that reality. Buddhehe sakshitaya sthitva. In this buddhi, in this antakaranam, there is that sakshi or Brahman hidden. Why do we say it's hidden? Because it is not known to us. How do I know this? Only through the Veda. All of us are aware of our emotions, but we never ask the question, what is this awareness? Is this awareness an independent principle? Does it exist by itself? Answers to these questions we can only get from the Upanishads. The principle of knowledge is Sakshi, Chaitanyam Sarupa, Prajnanam. It knows, it is the knowing awareness principle. See, the eyes, through the eyes, I know the form and color. Through the ears, I know the sound. But their awareness of that is the whole world of five sense objects and the sense organs, it comes to the mind in the form of vrittis. And for this vritti, I need an awareness principle. That awareness is what I am. And that awareness principle is a non-changing illuminator. Yesterday also I was a Sakshi, I was illuminating my thoughts, my experiences came. When I say my experiences, it is the experiences of the body and the mind, not the experience of the Sakshi, the light in which I am seeing the experiences. This light of consciousness is non-participating in all actions. Actions are going on, but Sakshi is doing nothing. In Bhagavad Gita, there is a very beautiful verse. Naiva kinchit karomiti. Ashnan, Gachan, Swapan, all the activities of the sense organs are happening, but the Sakshi, I, is unaffected But in its presence only all this is happening. That is how we have to understand our real nature. I am there. This consciousness principle is behind the body-mind complex all the time. When I was a baby also, this consciousness was behind. It illumined the baby body. Now also it is illuminating an old body. When the body goes off in the sleep state, it still remains and it says, there is no Jagat. Can you imagine what type of that consciousness, spiritual essence it can be? Such a beautiful explanation is given. It is always aprameyam. Never it can be an object. Always the subject. It is the ultimate subject is what is revealed in Keno Upanishad, in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. There are two knowers which are there in this body. Changing knower is called as ego I. You say, I went to school, I went to the class, I went to work. That is the changing knower. It is called as the ego I. I am writing with a pen. I am singing. This I is the changing knower. I had a good sleep. I went to eat I had a good lunch. It is a changing knower. I know that I can see well. I know I cannot see well. That I which sees the perceptions of the eyes in the mind is the Sakshi I. Okay? You should differentiate between two eyes. In the 8th chapter of Panchadasi, Swami Vidyaranya, the author, he gives a very, very big explanation of this two knowing principles. In the knowledge principle, there is one knower which says, I know the world. There is another knowledge principle in this body. I know that I know the world. I know the world is Sakshi. Very subtle difference, but we can understand this. The whole 8th chapter of Kutastha Deepa Prakaranam is explanation of these two knowers. Triputi is always the ego I. The moment I wake up in the body, it is called as Triputi. Triputi means what? I am a knower of the world. I've got knowledge of the world. I'm the knower of the body, mind, world. Through the sense organs, I see the world. Knowing instrument are the sense organs. The knower behind the sense organs is this ego I. This is the one type of knower. But Sakshi is, I am existing in the sleep state without the knowledge of the world. That is Sakshi. Paripurna Paramatma. Non-interfering, non-participating, not verbalized. You cannot talk of any word to describe that Paramatma, which is Nirupadika Paramatma, which is Nirguna Paramatma. There's no word, you cannot speak about it, but you can realize that. That is the beauty, and that is what Veda is revealing to us. If I know that Paramatma, if I know that that is my real nature, because Mahavakya says, Tatvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi is my realization. In the waking state, we see the world, no problem. But the world is seen only through the 5 sense organs. But it is backed by the light of consciousness. The world of objects is called as Sakshyam. It can, anything in Sakshyam, I can speak about it. The color of the rose, the soft petals, hardness of a stone, the fragrant lily, all that I can, these are all objects of the sense organs, which can be described. Spuranam. Spurana means it is the enlivening factor of the mind. Eternally illumining my mind. Whenever the mind is awake, this consciousness is illumining that mind. The power behind our mind is this consciousness. Aham iti riyataha. This is the aham. What is aham now? It is the consciousness Sakshi principle. That is the aham, and that aham is nothing but Brahman. The aham behind this Jiva, all of us, we all say I. But what is the Mahavakya saying? This I is nothing but that Brahman, which is the cause of this whole universe. That is where the linkage is. So this is something very deep in our intellect. That is where we have to realize this truth. The truth is what? It is non-interference. It doesn't interfere with any of the Vyavaharika world. Like the sunlight, it is shining, the entire world comes into action. Sakshi has got antakarana upadhi. Upadhi means it is a medium. Through your body, it has got some limited experience. Through my body, I have certain limited experience. Through my son's body, he will have his limited experience. All of us have got limited experiences, but all these experiences there is one spiritual light behind them, which is the limitless principle. Beyond time, it is eternal. The Sakshi is seemingly conditioned. It is not really conditioned, like the space in the pot. In the pot, the space is there. It is conditioned by the walls of the pot. Similarly, consciousness, awareness is conditioned by the mind and the thoughts. So it is a thought which is telling me that I am limited. What is Veda telling me? I am the unlimited, limitless consciousness, which is illuminator of the thoughts. When the thoughts are present, I feel I'm limited. You feel that you're limited in Singapore. You feel you're limited in India. You take the body, which is limited. Body is limited in a particular house. It is not all over the place. Consciousness is not like that. The consciousness, the seer principle, is limitless. We have to go beyond these appearances and see this paripurna paramatma. That is the essence of the third verse. The fourth verse is a continuation of Aham Brahmasmi. Same Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, another verse Vidyaranya takes. Let us see.
Swatah Purna Paratmatra Swatah Purna Paratmatra Brahma Shabdena Varnitaha Brahma Shabdena Varnitaha Asmetyaikyap Paramarshah Asmetyaikyap Paramarshah Tena Brahma Bhavamyaham Tena Brahma Bhavamyaham.
This verse is also saying that, see, all these verses, you must remember, is talking about my own nature. Don't forget that. Each one of us is this Brahman. is this consciousness principle. We are not aware of this today, but by studying this Upanishad mantras, we will learn how to say, I am consciousness. Swataha Purnaha Para Atma Atra. It is it is one Sakshi which is appearing as this body and the world. There is only one reality. It is appearing as Sakshi when it is limited by body mind. It is called as Brahman when it is in the whole universe. When you talk about Brahman, it means it is limitless. Because whole cosmos is limitless. There is no end to cosmos. The verse reveals the aikyam, the oneness between Sakshi and Brahman. You must know the difference between Sakshi and Brahman. Sakshi means one individual body. There is a Sakshi which is behind, which tells you that I have these passions, I have this anger, I have this love for my son or daughter. All these are emotions. All these emotions are known by some entity. That entity is called as Sakshi. This whole cosmos is known to some entity. That knower of that whole cosmos is the Lord, is the Param Atma. It is called as Brahman. Upanishad tells me that the same Sakshi behind the body is Brahman behind the whole universe. This is the equation. This is the Mahavakya. Space which pervades the whole universe also is there in the pot as the pot space. Through the eye of knowledge, I remove the pot and I see the space as one all-pervading space. Similarly, in consciousness, the Jiva comes and goes, the Jagat comes and goes, the Ishvara comes and goes as the creator of this whole universe. But what doesn't come and go? It is the consciousness. Changeless, nirvikara swarupaha. It is very difficult for our human intellect to understand, because the human intellect is always going outside to see the differences. Whereas the pramanam called as the Veda, again and again tells me there is a changeless consciousness which is behind the mind. Avachinnaha. Avachinna means limited, conditioned. Jiva or Ishvara is conditioned. Why is it conditioned? Because in the sleep state, there is no Jiva or Ishvara or Jagat. In the sleep state, I am limitless Brahman, I am limitless Atma. Anavichinnaha. Anavichinnaha means unconditioned. Naturally unconditioned. I don't have to work for it. It is my swarupam. Brahma means more and more, bigger and bigger. Shabdena varnitaha. What is the biggest thing in this universe is this Brahman. Why is it called the Brihatvat Brahman? Because there is nothing beyond this consciousness. And it is always muktaha. It is not touched by the world. It is always an independent illuminator of the mind. It is the illuminator of the world. In sleep, who am I? I am objectless awareness. But in sleep state, I have ignorance. That is the problem, which is called as tamas. Tamo guna pradhana is sushupti avastha. All of us, we just automatically get up and say, I didn't realize anything. But in the waking state only, you apply the pramanam called as the Veda, and then you can realize and go beyond the sleep state. So the word Brahma brings out the meaning of limitlessness. Aham is seemingly limited, but it is Purnaha. It is actually speaking, it is limitless. And cognitively, we can understand the limitless nature of Aham. I am Brahman by knowledge. Knowledge removes this ignorance which I have been living for many lives. Veda says that we have had several births and we are fortunate to come to the Upanishadic study and realize I can remain as myself, as Paripurna Atma, completely fulfilled Atma, and realize that that is my ultimate nature. This gives me a tremendous amount of satisfaction, happiness, peace, security. All this is only in Brahman. Only in the status of Brahman you will have these three. Peace, security, and happiness, fulfillment in life will only be there when you understand the nature of our real Swarupa. Jiva Bhava has to be dropped and we have to take up Brahma Bhava. Brahma Bhava will come only when I understand Mahavakya. I have to drop, see, there is something called as Bhaga Tyaga Lakshana. What is Bhaga Tyaga Lakshana? I did explain to you in the beginning. It means I drop the variable component of the body, mind, sense organs in this body, I drop it. And then I retain only the consciousness principle. Similarly, from the whole cosmos, I drop the differences which I see, and then I retain the existence principle. When I do this, what happens? The consciousness principle in this body is the same as the Sat principle, existence principle in the universe. Through the Mahavakya, I contemplate on this truth. When I contemplate on this truth, my mind goes beyond to a certain higher level, which no words can describe. The conditioned I is an apparent seeming I. It is only in the waking state it is known. Unconditioned pure I is a fact. It is revealed to me by the Veda. Manasa eva idam avaptavyam. The whole concept of Brahman is understood only with the help of Veda. And it is a step-by-step learning process. Intellect is the only instrument which can comprehend the truth. Kathopanishad has this beautiful mantra in the 3rd section of the 1st chapter. Esha sarveshu bhuteshu Gudatma. Gudatma means what? It is this intellect has got this illuminator, where in the illuminator there is no, you can't describe any words. Same thing was described in the Taittiriya Upanishads, which we just saw. Tadesham yuktam satyam jnanam anantam. Where is that satyam? It is not outside in the world. It is there in our own intellect. As aham, 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 aham. The moment you get up from sleep, what do you say? The first thing you say is aham. Whether you say it or not, you realize yourself as the pure consciousness. And then you discover that I have this body, I have to do this activity. Every day you wake up, you realize your body and your body starts acting. But without the body and the mind, you are existing in the sleep state as pure consciousness. It is the ego which is pushing us and giving us the misconception that we are the karta, bhokta, jnata. All this is misconception. There is no difference between me and the world, because ultimately both are projected out of this consciousness. With the word, you go to wordless. With a thought, you go to the thoughtless. Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha anandam brahmano vidvan na viveti kadachineti tasaisayeva sarira atma ya purvasya. Taittiriya Upanishad very beautifully talks about this Brahman, this consciousness. It says, what does it say? It says that no word can reach this Brahman, because word is in the speech. The speech is powered by consciousness. Without consciousness, the mouth cannot talk. Without that consciousness, your ears cannot hear. That is how I have to understand this pure nature of Brahman. That Brahman is nothing but my own nature. Okay, so I will stop here today. Next week, we have one more session, which is the 5th of April. After that, there will be no session for 2 weeks. The 12th of April and 19th of April, there will be no sessions. Classes will begin after 2 weeks break. That means 26th of April, there will be a session. And then sometime in May again, there will be some break, but I'll let you know about it later. So as of now, next week, there is a session, there is a class. I will take up the 5th verse, Tattvamasi, very important verse, one of the most important Mahavakyas. 9 times it gets repeated in Chandogya Upanishad. So we will take up the 3rd Mahavakya next week. Okay, so just to note, 2 weeks, 12th April and 19th April, there will be no sessions because I'm traveling out of Singapore. Okay, now we have finished with the Panchadasi chapter 5 for today. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purna Purnamudacchare Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I don't see any messages. I will, Shanmugam has unmuted everybody. So you can unmute yourself and speak up if you have anything to say.
Shekharji, you mentioned in your talk that as the waker, the Jiva and the Sakshi, as soon as he gets up, the Sakshi is there, which is almost the analogy that we of the body and the shadow, you know.
That's correct. The waker is a shadow.
The waker is the shadow.
Body is a shadow. The mind is a shadow.
Yes.
The world is a shadow.
And okay. And the body is the Atma.
Correct. The one behind the body is this Atma.
One behind the body.
Correct. You see, the Atma remains the same in the waking, dream, and sleep.
Yeah.
No change.
Okay.
Absolutely no change.
So in the shadow is the Atma here in the analogy.
Correct. You can say shadow is the Atma.
Behind
And
the
the shadow,
body,
yeah,
shadow is there. The
that's
shadow
right.
is always there. As long as Jiva is there, there's a shadow.
That's correct.
And that's the Sakshi.
That's right. See,
Also,
there is no Jiva without Sakshi.
Yeah.
Sakshi is, and see that the only difference of between Jnani and Ajnani is, a Jnani is a person who has come to study the Veda, who has come to study the Upanishads. Primarily, the instrument of knowledge about this Sakshi is only Upanishads. The Upanishads wake you up from your sleep state of ignorance.
Yeah.
The Upanishads is telling you, come on, Deepak, you are not this body. Don't think that this body and the waking world and all these problems are really, really there. They are there for appearance. They are there for experience. But it is not the ultimate truth. The ultimate seer, experiencer is this Atma.
So this deep sleeper abides in Turiam, rests in Turiam.
Yes.
He rests in Turiam in the tamas state. That clarity I'm not understanding. But I would imagine that if I'm in Turiam, I'm in ignorance. When I get up, I realize that I was in ignorance of the. So I'm not very clear on that. Why is it?
Okay, let me explain to you here a little bit. This is a subtle topic. Many people have this problem. See, the knowledge of Turiam, that I am Turiam, is possible only in the waking state.
Yes, like the dreamer and the waker. So
correct. You see, in the waking state, I have to wake up to the Turiam state. The sleep state is a tamasic state. It is not a sattvic state. It is a tamasic state. Tamasic state belongs to the mind, Prakriti. Prakriti has got these three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. Sleep state belongs to the tamo guna. Waking state belongs to the sattva guna. When I can drop all my gunas and I can say Aham Brahmasmi. In the dream state is all rajas. There is only projections and projections of a dream world. So the reality is not the Vyavaharika Satyam, it is not the Pratibhasika Satyam, but it is the Paramarthika Satyam, which is Turiya. The Turiam, always remember, is you see, the most important thing is you should say, I am that continuously awareness which is always there. Throughout our waking state, keep reminding yourself, I am not the changing waker, dreamer, sleeper. I am not the changing waker. Waking experience will come and go. Dream experiences have come and gone. Do I think about all my dreams? No. Similarly, waking experiences will come and go. Don't get bothered by the waking experiences also, exactly like how you don't bother about your dream experiences. This is where Veda comes and corrects our vision. Suppose you don't come to Veda, what will happen? You will think that the whole waking experience is really Mahareal, 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 and every time you will be thinking of only the world. This problem, that problem, this problem, this problem, all these problems and problems and problems. Financial problems, family problems, emotional problems. So many problems are there in the waking world. So the Ajnani, the ignorant person, you are not an Ajnani, you are a Jnani, because you have woken up to the nature of Chaitanya. All people who are attending these classes are all woken up. They are all realizing their own nature, not as a waker, they are realizing Aham Brahmasmi. all people who are listening to these talks, they are all woken up living beings. They are woken up to their nature, which is their intrinsic nature. It is a changeless nature. Shankaracharya beautifully in the Kena Upanishad Bhashyam brings out these very subtle points.
So basically what you're saying is that this body, mind body with the senses, rest, which is the tamoguna, rest in Turyam.
Correct.
Turyam is obviously the other unchanged
Yes.
thing, but the body mind that comes in is in ignorance, is in tamoguna.
Yes.
That's what it's saying. And that it is the same body that wakes up from tamoguna to sattva-guna.
Yes.
And as it wakes up, it realizes there is obviously Sakshi is there in all the three states, but so when you say Sakshi is there in all the three states, so why do we say that only when we wake up there is Sakshi? I mean, you become aware that there is something.
Correct. You see, you become aware of that Sakshi.
Sakshi, you become aware.
In sleep state, you're not aware. You can never be aware even for the next 100 years. Sleep state.
One of the things that I always tell when I engage with people, etc., and I said, this is called consciously being aware, conscious awareness of life.
That's right. What is life? I'm aware of it.
Aware. I'm consciously aware.
Correct. And it is life. It is the enlivening principle. It is not the breath. The breath is only the physiological function to keep this body alive. But I am aware of the enlivening factor.
No, I think the beauty of our tradition is that we are able to really get into the depth and explain this subtle to what other masters and other philosophies say the same thing, but they're not able to explain in this depth.
That's correct. You see, we have a methodology. We have a tradition to explain. And that is the beauty of Vedanta. It has got a tradition to explain, and that tradition flows from one generation to the other generation. See, today I am able to talk about this because of tradition. I have learned it from my gurus. My gurus have taught me, I can explain. You also can teach others.
Yes.
See, once your mind, if it has got over this problem of bandhas, we are all having some bottlenecks in our intellect. That bandha, once it is removed, you become free. You only say that I am free, that's all. So Veda is only removing the wrong conclusion about myself. Experience is still the same. Experiences do not change in waking, dream, and sleep. I will still experience my body. I will still experience that dream. I will still experience my sleep state. Experience-wise, there is no change.
Only I become aware of that.
I become aware.
That's the paradigm shift that is.
Correct. It is a great paradigm shift. My conclusion, you see, the conclusion I derive about myself from the experiences today is what? I am a suffering Jiva. But Veda corrects this conclusion. It doesn't correct my experiences. It only corrects my conclusion of my experiences, which is a cognitive change. It is not a transformation physically. It is only a conclusion. This particular, what I'm talking about, conclusion is expressed by Shankaracharya in his Kena Upanishad Bhashyam. In the second chapter, in the first verse, Shankaracharya says that like sunrise is common to all experiences, all of us, we say, I see the sunrise. The experience-wise, sunrise is there, sunset is there. But intellectually, what do I say? Because of my scientific knowledge, the sun doesn't rise. It is the earth which is going round the sun. Now it is away from the sun. Therefore, it becomes dark in the night. It will go back in front of the sun in the morning, and again it becomes bright. It is not the sunrise, but sunrise is an experience. It is an experience of the sense organs. So don't take the experience of the sense organs that I see this body, therefore this body is so very real. No, There is consciousness which is more real than this body. That is why Shankaracharya says, I see my real nature much more clearly than the body and mind. Because body, mind, I don't even know why it reacts in a certain way. But consciousness is not changing. It's always the same. Each one of us can realize this. The moment we know how to use the Veda as an instrument, finished. You have used the instrument correctly, like you use a telescope or you use a magnifying glass. You use a magnifying glass so that the sun rays can go through the glass and it can burn the paper. Similarly, Veda is the instrument. I use the Veda as an instrument, understand clearly the Upanishadic literature. I will be free from my wrong conclusion about myself. Okay, very good question, Deepak. Neeta is saying, why are we attracted to the Vedas? Is it the ultimate frustration with the world? Yes, it is frustration with the world and with the body-mind experiences. We get attracted to something beyond this world. There is only one source which talks about this higher nature, higher state. And that is only the Veda. There is no other pramanam. You can study the entire sciences. You will not know, your limitations to this body mind will never go away. The limitations which is called as bondage, bandhaha, it will go the moment you come to the study of Veda and you read a couple of Upanishads and you understand the reality behind the body and the world, you're free. Okay, so that is about, so it's ultimate frustration with the world and the body mind, which leads me to the Veda. Why are we so much in love with the Jiva? See, we are not in love with the Jiva, but the Jivatvam is already there in us. Jivatvam is inborn. Individuality is inborn because it is going through prarabdha karma. So, while the body is going through its individuality, it has to come out of that individuality, and therefore it searches in the world like you search in the Google and you come across Vedanta students. Many students who come here are all coming because of Google. So you come and search, where can I know about myself? I will study physics? No. I will know how to make an atom bomb. I will know how to study different forces, but not who am I? Take any science, medical science, the field of law, the field of any other sciences, they are all dealing with anatma. Where do you come to Atma? The real self is Veda. That is why people are attracted to the Veda. Okay, so I hope I have answered your question, Neeta. The next one is Krishna is asking, can you please send the Keno Upanishad notes? Many people had written to me. I have already sent out the notes to whoever has written to me on this Shankara Bhashyam. Krishna, can you send me your email address? I can send it to you. It's
sure, sir. I will send it.
Just send me your email address through either email to vedantastudents.com or to my WhatsApp. I will send you the Keno Upanishad. A lot of people had written to me. I just sent it to them by email. This is the first. This is the first portion of the Keno Upanishad Shankara Bhashyam notes. So it's very interesting. I would say that this is one of the best Shankaracharya's works on Vedanta is Keno Upanishad Bhashyam. It's really brilliant. It's an eye-opener, and anybody who reads this, it's a very in-depth analysis, and a very simple way. See, the beauty of Shankaracharya is in his Bhashyam, especially his Bhashyam. See, other people have written commentaries, and so many Swamijis have written commentaries. I'm not denying that they are good, but they are all stepping stones. Use that as a stepping stone, but come and soak yourself, even if it takes time. Read these notes on Bhashyams. It will change you, and a lot of finer details you will come to realize. Okay.
Hari Om Shekharji, can I have a couple of questions? Hari Om Shekharji.
Yeah, one second before I come to you. Taittiriya Upanishad also, Bhashyam, Shankaracharya Bhashyam is available. Chapter 2 and chapter 3, which are important chapters. I have written the Shankaracharya's Bhashyams. Whatever I heard, I wrote it. It's also available. If you're interested, I will send it to you. Yeah, Vijaya, go ahead.
So, okay, first thing is I would like to have both these Bhashyams. I will send my email ID to you.
No, I have your email ID. I'll forward it to you.
Thank you. So the second, actually, this was
brilliant.
not my question.
So the 2 weeks which you have, you can go through these notes. It may not be perfect notes, but it will take you to a very high depth. See, when you go through these notes, you just read them. Doesn't matter, because you know the subject matter now. I have gone into fairly big depths in my classes. So if you go through these Bhashyam notes, you will really enjoy it, especially Taittiriya Bhashyam and Keno Bhashyam. Keno Bhashyam, I'm still writing. I'm in the second chapter. Chapter 1 is almost finished. The first volume is ready. Taittiriya Bhashyam is almost 6-7 volumes, 1,200 pages. But you can understand. I can guarantee you all these people who are attending the Wednesday session classes and the Saturday classes are all senior students. They are already enjoying the Upanishads, and they are fit and ready to understand the Bhashya. Many people don't go into the Bhashya because it's got a lot of nuances, sometimes slightly boring also, because it goes into some debates which may not be useful in today's circumstances, but you can skip those portions. Yeah, Vijaya. Vijaya is a person who is chanter. For those people who don't know Vijaya, she is in Texas and she chants all these Panchadasi verses for me. Excellent service from her. Krishna, I got your email.
Shekharji, I have a couple of questions, if you may allow me. Yeah. The first was a question, but turned out to be no, because I think it is a carry on from Deepak ji, who had this question. So earlier, even I used to have that kind of question as to why Shankaracharya, when he talks about Anandamaya Kosha, he says Anandamaya is like a kiss. It says Chumbukasya Atmanaha. So he says it is experienced only in the Sushupti Avastha. I used to wonder, what is the point of me having that Anandam when I am not aware of it?
Yeah.
Then he turns around and says, well, that is the whole game plan, that non-awareness of the Brahmananda is where you raise it up to the level of Tiriyam. And that is what the Anandamaya, if you really want to not just limit to your deep sleep state and want eternally, then I think you have to raise to the spiritual awakening. That means awakening in the state of awakening again. I think that's what you beautifully answered. So that's where I get my answer. I rest there. But my other question is, 2 questions basically. You mentioned about a verse. It starts about Isa Sarvasha Bhuteshu Gudatmana Prakasha.
Yeah.
So I just needed that verse. It says Drishyate. I couldn't copy it. I think by the time this
Agreya.
Drishyate
Agreya.
It says Tvaktya Buddhya. Tvaktya is to renounce. So I was not very sure what did actually this.
It is a Katha Upanishad mantra. You can just go through the mantra and the explanation in my notes. You will have more clarity.
Okay.
I will send you some notes on that.
Because Tvaktya, I was a little confused. Should I? Tvaktya means when in Bhagavad Gita it always says, the Lord says, "Give me your buddhi manas," right?
Yes.
So you give it to me. So
whereas here what it means is you try to renounce your buddhi. Don't keep your buddhi and keep looking for Brahman, because it will never come. What it means is, don't keep objectifying Brahman. The job of buddhi is objectification. Everything it wants to objectify. Suppose you say a snake, it will objectify a snake in your mind. You say a rat, it will objectify a rat. So buddhi's job is objectification. What Kathopanishad says is, you renounce this buddhi and realize this Brahman.
Okay.
Renounce this buddhi. Drop this buddhi's objectification tendency.
Okay.
Let it not come and bother you. It keeps on coming to bother you because that is its nature. You see, nature of mind is thoughts. You cannot stop the mind with thoughts. No way. You try it. Even for 100 years you do meditation, you cannot stop your thoughts. And when you come to Shankaracharya's Bhashyam, he is very clear. He says, don't bother about Samadhi Avastha. Don't try to go into Samadhi Avastha, make your mind thoughtless and all. It is not possible. It may exist for some people, but it is not the object, or it is not the purpose of the Veda. Never gives prominence to that. That is why yoga philosophy is not accepted by Shankaracharya. He says very clearly that it may be there, Samadhi Avastha may be there, but it is not relevant for Vedanta. What is relevant for Vedanta? The knowledge that I am of the nature of consciousness, eternally I am there. And nirvikara swarupat, always keep these two words in your mind. Nityaha, nirvikara. Nityaha, nirvikara. These two words can change it can transform you completely from your identification with the body and mind. Nityaha, nirvikara. Nityaha means it is not subject to time. Our body is subject to time because in time, body is awake. In time, the body goes off and I don't become aware of this body. Manifest condition, unmanifest condition. These two conditions exist in the realm of mind. But when it comes to Sakshi, it is Nitya Swarupaha, Nirvikara. Always remember, there is nothing in this universe which is not changing except this Sakshi. And in this Sakshi, like in Turiyam, it is Avyavaharyam. It is Achintyam. There is no thought in Turiyam. There is no Triputi in Turiyam. But it is existing. And it is independently existing without a medium called the body. See, the body is a medium. Only with reference to the Sakshi, you can say body is a medium. But if you're sitting inside the body and asking, where is this Sakshi? Then your point of reference is the body. It is not Turiyam. Come out of the body. Come out of your mind. Then you ask the question, who am I? That is what you do in the waking state. Come out of your mind, come out of your body. And Shankaracharya says, you have nowhere else to fall except in Atma. That Atma is Jagat Karanam Brahman. This equation you should remember initially for a period of time. After some time, this equation becomes your nature. Initially, you have to keep saying, this Atma is Brahman. This Atma is Brahman. Brahman means what? It is the Jagat Karana. It is the Srishti, Sthiti, Laya, Karanam of the whole Jagat, including my body, mind. And Shankaracharya and what is the Upanishad saying? That the core inner essence of this body, mind is the same as the Jagat Karana. Only when I know this equation, I will be free. That is what is called as moksha. Nitya moksha surupaha aham asmi. So with this knowledge of Mahavakyam, whether it is now you are learning about Mahavakyam or after 5 years you learn about Mahavakyam, the importance of Mahavakyam you should always remember. This is the last lesson of a guru to his disciple. Know that you are this Atma, step number 1. This next step is very important step. This Atma is Brahman. This Atma is the pure nature of the whole universe. The pure nature of this body-mind complex is Atma. I can easily understand because I am experiencing that Turiyam. But the Turiyam is what? It is the Jagat Karanam. From where every day, this in the waking state, the body comes, all my relations come. But why do these relations and the body and the events and this thing, why do they come? Because of karma, karma phala. There is a law which governs this waking state. That law is governed by Ishvara. In the Bhagavad Gita, it says, you bow down to that Ishvara, that Krishna, and realize your nature. When you come to Upanishad, it will say, you realize your own nature as this Atma, and then realize Atma is Brahman, and realize the oneness. This is higher level of knowledge. Very good, Vijaya. I'm very happy with your questions.
Thank you. I have one more question.
Go ahead, yeah.
When you were telling about this chapter 8 reference about the Kutastha Deepa Prakarana.
Yes.
So the difference between the Sakshi I and the ego I.
Yes.
You use the word I am. I know that I know the pen and I know the pen. So is it like I am aware that I am that conscious? I am aware of the pen.
That is what it means.
I am aware of the pen, whereas I am not limited only to know about the functionality of the pen or a name and a form, but I am that consciousness which is enabling me, my buddhi, to know about the pen. So that's the awareness which I associate.
I know the pen. I know the sun. I know the world. I know the world is through the sense organs. That is the ego I.
Correct.
That is all the lower I, Vyavaharika I.
Vyavaharika, yeah.
I know the moment you say I know the world, means I know here means it is the Sakshi I. And this is the Kutastha Deepa Prakaranam. Vidyaranya explains that in 8th chapter of Panchadasi.
Yes.
This helps you to differentiate the ego and the Sakshi.
Yes. Because knowing the object is a lakshana of a buddhi which is lower in nature, smaller in nature.
Yes, that's correct. Knowing the world is completely ahamkara. Yeah. Only through the sense organs, mind, that is what Kena Upanishad is again and again telling us. The world is known only because of the prana, because of the mind, because of the sense organs. But who is the enlivening factor of all these karanams? It is Atma. In 8 verses of chapter 1 of Kena Upanishad, beautifully the Upanishad brings out this inner essence in each body-mind complex. Clearly it tells me, it is the enlivening factor is not the prana. It is not the mind. It is not the sense eyes or ears. But there is a light, a spiritual light, which enlivens all these 5. The ears, the speech, the eyes, the prana, the mind. In short, Jnanendriyas, Karmendriyas, Antakarana, and Prana. In short, it is the 19 organs which constitute the Sukshma Sharira.
Sukshma Linga Sharira, yes. Yeah, because it's so difficult when you relate it with yatova chanivattante, aprapya
Yes.
manasata. Is agochara. You cannot use any of this to reach him.
Yes. The moment you understand Shankara Bhashyam, all these verses you can easily bring into your mind and you can remain as Sakshi. You see, while in the waking state only you can do this. You can say I am Sakshi, and you the knowledge should help you to live the rest of your life as Sakshi. See, you have lived your life as Vijaya, no problem. You can still live the life as Vijaya. It is an automatic process because of the body. It is given to you. You cannot change that. You are a mother, you are a sister, you are a daughter, you are a spouse. All that is given to you. But in spite of all that, you have an additional knowledge of the Veda Pramanam, that there is a higher aspect of mind which my buddhi has become enlightened about. And each one of us can say this with full commitment. You see, 100% commitment, my intellect can say, whatever the Veda has revealed, I have understood. I have known it to be the inner essence of myself, and I am free from all the connections which I had, by which I was always depressed. That depression is completely gone. Because a student of Vedanta has no depression. He has no, because he doesn't dwell on the problems again and again. The worries are all gone. Because he knows how to drop his worries, because he is the Sakshi. Okay, very good. Any other question?
Thank you, Hari Om.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Deepak, you and Vijaya, your questions are very similar.
No, it's similar, and you know, basically, the even as a Jivan Mukta, as long as you are a Jiva, the experiences will go on.
Correct.
And therefore, I think what you are saying is, I know is the only thing that I can do in this body-mind complex.
That's it. Yes.
So it will keep on going on.
Yeah, the first I know will keep on going.
And it is the same thing which I talk about, that how we can live in consciously aware, awakened of this whole thing, which means that I now know that this is a mirage, but I will not run towards it.
Yes, that's correct. That is the transformation in a Jiva.
And Kashmir Shaivism, Shekharji also talks beautifully on this, but with a little twist.
No, but you see, all religions, all philosophies, ultimately they only talk of this. Only thing we don't know that this is what they are talking. But once you have learned through Vedanta that this is the essence, then you will find that every philosopher is talking of the same thing.
I just want to read out just to say that the commonality of the two, except that there are subtle differences. It says that the yogi has an experience in which he is inwardly absorbed in the supreme divine consciousness. And again, when he turns towards the universe, he experiences it as the same as his own essential divine consciousness. You see, there they don't take the thing as mithya. So he said that both when I go in, I see my divine consciousness, and what I see outside is also an expression of my own divine consciousness.
Yes.
So
are they equating here Atma Bhava and the Brahma Bhava?
Yes.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, because so that's but I'm saying that that's the same, almost the same. This thing, you know, that I am living. I have to experience. It will happen, whatever by this thing. But I now know that one is to negate, the other is that I see this also an expression of the divine. I mean, you know, that's another way.
Yes. That is another way of putting it. That's positively putting it.
Positively putting it, yes.
Correct. Okay, very good. Thank you very much. So we'll meet next week and continue your studies and enjoy the Bhashyams, enjoy the Panchadasi sessions. We have four more verses to go. One is on Tattvamasi, and the second one is going to be on I am Atma Brahma. These two Mahavakyams are pending. Two verses on Tathomasi, which is 5 and 6. 7 and 8 is I am Atma Brahma Mandukya. So chapter 5 of Panchadasi is a beautiful chapter. If you want to know what is the ultimate thing I have to learn from the Veda, if you want to know what is the ultimate truth which the Veda is revealing, come to Panchadasi chapter 5, learn it well, learn Keno Upanishad Bhashyam well, Taittiriya Upanishad Bhashyam well. I am 200% sure that you will be a realized master. That is, I mean, these commentaries of Shankaracharya are brilliant. It's an amazing study, and his depth nobody can go into. Very difficult. His depth of knowledge, his depth of connecting things, his depth of revealing the nature is amazing. You know, it's really, really amazing. Okay, let's, Hari Om, thank you.
Hari Om.
Namaste, thank you, good night.